Hello and welcome back. In today's video we're going to start off by putting masking tape all over the fretboard and the headstock because we don't want paint there. So you can see I've sanded the guitar. It looks horrendous at the moment. And yeah, let's get to it. Here's the neck. And we're just going to take some paper like this and we're just going to put it down the fretboard like this. And just make sure that what we cover is the actual rosewood. And I like to leave like 1/2 mil of the rosewood exposed because the paint I've chosen is a weird blend between blue and green, and so if I put this tape on and it gets exactly on the line, there might be just a little bit of the lighter wood seeing through. So I'd rather have the fretboard be colored a tiny bit than you seeing some weird over taping take place, and which you never will anyway because it's solid colors. And then we just do the same thing on this side. Tape it down. I'm going to spray paint the entire body with the color, and then I'm going to put down a couple of layers of clear, and then I am going to remask the fretboard but with showing the wood on the side, and then I'm going to clear coat it again. And that's because I want to be sure that I don't get any on the fretboard, but I do want it on the actual sides. I do want some color there. So, yeah. So just put that down like that. Squish it out in between every fret. Just go like this. It doesn't need to stick to the fretboard necessarily, as long as it's like sealed up and you don't get any into the... And as long as you don't get any color into the fretboard, because that could be annoying. And now I'm going to try to put tape on the headstock, and I'm just gonna cover it up like this, and I'm just gonna cut the pieces with a razor blade so that it's cut neatly around, because we do want to color the sides of the headstock. We just don't want to color the front. And I'm sorry, I don't have anyone to help me film videos, so if I'm out of frame or out of focus, it's just because I can't really do this at the same time as I'm doing other things. It's basically impossible. And now I'm just gonna squish it. You only need to be squished around the edge. And now I can take a razor blade and I can cut away the edge like that, because I've sanded the round over. So I'm gonna, when I get a couple of layers of clear coat, I'm gonna let them dry a little bit, but before they get super solid, I'm gonna go back and I'm just gonna remove a little bit extra so that I can let the roundabout get stuck to the old layers. I hope that makes sense. I'm just going around with the razor blade, cutting away the excess, and I'm cutting up to the body as close as I can get, trying to make as neat of a cut as I can. Okay, so now I'm going to paint the guitar, and I'm going to start off with the headstock and just go lightly over here.
Okay, so here you can see me starting to paint the guitar, but I saw that this recording was really bad, and I didn't like that I didn't explain anything I was doing in the clip. Basically just standing there like an idiot, spraying a bunch of color everywhere. And then, looking at it, the paint had a certain transparency to it. And so I decided that I had to just sand everything back, because I did a lousy job, and put a grey primer on it, and just repaint it and redo it, because I felt like this is not really good enough. And sometimes you have to just look at what you've done and be a little bit hard on your work and say, hey, you can do better, and redo it. So that's what I did. So if you wonder why the guitar is all of a sudden grey, it's because that's what I did.
Okay, now I'm going to spray the guitar, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to move the spray can from one side to the other. Begin spraying here, move it over here, stop, start again. Overlapping about halfway, because it's like a cone shape, the spray that comes out, and the further out to the edges you move, the more like the thinner it gets. So if I spray, you can see there it's much thicker than on the others. Okay, so the guitar has now been clear coated a bunch of times, and it's somewhat hardened. It's not hard enough to be able to wet sand yet, but it's hardened enough so it's time so that we can still spray some on it, but we can touch it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to attach the serial number back on it. And that's because if for some reason, down the line, you never know what's going to happen. I no longer own this guitar. I want to be able to tell people, hey, here it is, the guitar, and this is what it is, and they know it's not a fake or something weird like that, and the number is on the back. So what you have to do is print out the number backwards. I don't know if you can see it, but I have the registration number here, and I've mirrored it in the computer, and I've printed it out. This is not what I'm going to use. What I've done is I've cut it out on a tiny little piece of paper in the right size that I want. And I'm going to use this, which is photo transparent potch. And what you need to do is just get the kind of potch that matches the kind of printer you have. I have a laser printer, so I'm going to use the laser print version. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some on the headstock. So let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of masking tape to create a border. Now, the lacquer is sort of still sensitive, so I need to work sort of fast. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put this masking tape roughly straight where I want it, the number to be, so just on there like that. And then I'm going to take some Mod Podge, or whatever it's called, photo transparent podge. Just take some of it on my finger like this, and I'm just going to smear it out like this. And then I'm just going to take my paper that I've cut out and I've made sure it's the way I want it. If you cut it straight and make sure everything aligns, you can put it down and then just smear everything out like this. Remove this tape before it gets stuck on there too much. Remove the excess, pull it out to the side like this. And you have to follow the instructions that are on the package. I have a little flurp here, or whatever you want to call it, so that I can easily pull this off once it's done. But now it's on there. And you just smear it out, make sure it's evenly pushed out in all directions with your fingers like this, so you don't have any air bubbles or anything like that. And then I'm just going to take hair dryer. Do not use your air heat gun because you're going to destroy the entire guitar. And I'm just going to go over this area like this for 10 minutes. So I'll be back in 10 minutes and you will see what happens. Okay, so now I've warmed this up and let it cool down. I warmed it for 10 minutes, just like the instructions said, and then I waited for it to cool down. So now it's not even the slightest bit of warmth in it. And now I'm just going to dip my finger in some water and I'm just going to rub them across this to destroy the paper. You want to crumble it up and make it disappear, and the ink will be stuck in the lacquer. So let's do it. Okay, and now I'm just gonna take some sandpaper. I'm using wet and dry 12,000 grit, and I'm just gonna try to sort of mush up the edge where you can see around, just to try to blend the edges out a little bit. And don't forget, I am going to keep on clear coating. So if it looks a little bit dull, it's because the lacquer is one way and the finish after this paper transfer thing is another way. So don't worry, as long as you do this blending, it will sort of turn out all right, I think. And I'm just sanding the very edge. I'm not trying to like mess up the entire headstock or anything. So something like that maybe. You can see it more on the camera because of the dull spots. This whole thing is dull, but I think that as soon as I put another clear coat on, I think it's gonna disappear almost entirely. Something like that. And now I'm just gonna keep on clear coating this guitar. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the videos. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I am gonna go and clear coat this guitar a bunch of times, and I'll see you in the next video, okay? We're gonna take care of the electronics in the next video because the guitar needs to hang for a couple of weeks and dry, and so I need to just get the clear coats on and then leave it before we fix the lacquer after it's dried properly. But I'll see you in the next video. Take care now, and goodbye.